We're on. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 4. Today we have Mr. Paul Sykes. How you doing, Paul?
Very well indeed.
Paul is the singer in the rock and roll band Hey Colossus, and before that he was in the rock and roll band Men Of Unitus. And I am not sure what other musical things he has done before or since, so maybe he will let us know during the next few minutes. How's it been anyway?
Really good. Really good. I don't think things could have gone better, really. It's all worked out perfectly.
It's been a strong year, hasn't it? Very strong.
Very strong. Very strong. Yeah, I'm whatever the opposite of livid is. Yeah, good. How have you been? All right?
Yeah, no, worked through it, and that's about the size of it. Worked through it.
We've both had quite dramatic haircuts.
Yeah, yeah. How are you doing yours? What's the story there?
Definitely with my hands, just about, and my own clipper system, which is good. Yeah. Sometimes use a mirror.
What like grade are you using? That's more. It's hair. That's not like I'm just going like a 4 and just doing it myself.
I don't have numbers on mine. I've got little descriptions. So the description I've got on mine is 3 weeks off the film set, as if you were on like a really bad sort of military boot camp comedy.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's the level that I've got.
That's what you've gone for.
Sort of starring Goldie Hawn. You're only in it to sort of, you're an extra, but 3 weeks after the buzz cut from sort of military comedy sort of thing.
Have you ever been an extra in a TV or film thing?
Good question.
I ask this seriously because most people have done it once, just somehow. I've done it once.
I did. I've been in a sort of an experimental film.
Right.
Does that count? Or
yeah, what was it?
And I wasn't an extra. I was a principal actor.
God, goes without saying. Of course.
It was a sort of animator stroke sort of film friend of mine who there was a role where I don't know if you've seen those pictures of sort of seances from the early 1900s, late 1800s, where they sort of spewed sort of ectoplasm, and there's photographic proof of it, but obviously in real life it was just someone with a cloth and someone was pulling a line from it. But it was like a reproduction of that sort of thing. So I had to dress up in like sort of Victorian era dress and have someone pull a piece of white fabric from my mouth that I rammed into the back of my throat as far as I could, and they pulled it out on a thin wire so you couldn't see it. It's all in the mixing and the editing afterwards, So.
Did they? Was it sepia toned? The film at the end, was it like black and white sepia toned sort of affair, or?
I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I just keep the stills from it in a little locket in a special jacket that I've got, and I sort of peek at that occasionally. So good memories.
Well, yeah. You've got all the awards on your wall there from that film. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm currently down the back stairwell where I keep all my awards actually. So I've got my Gardener of the Year award for this year. Been doing a lot of that. And I won this for my subscription to Beano when I was 9. So
okay, you still got it.
Hold those dear to me. Yeah. Wow. Have you got any awards? You're DIY music rear of the year, aren't you? 4 years in a row, I think. Aren't you?
I tell you what, I do have. I have a framed Moby Play CD from when he sold a zillion copies of it.
Oh yeah.
Because I worked telesales and sold about 3 copies to Colin at Edgeworld. So, I got my own one of those, which is in the garage. And that's
good.
Yeah, there you go. And that's
laugh.
I'm really, really proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're essentially here to talk about records rather than film careers. Although actually the film career thing could be more interesting. But anyhow, please, Paul, a record from your favourite record shop.
I've just realised that I look a bit odd, but I'm sitting on a slant down a very narrow sort of alley down here. So, what would you like? Sorry.
I'd like a record from your favourite record shop, please.
That's quite a hard one. I would say sort of recently.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people in the band would agree that Monorail is an extraordinary record shop.
Yes.
And more than that, the whole sort of hub around it, with a little restaurant and a bar, is excellent. So I would say that is probably my favourite at the minute. And the last record I bought from there when we went up there was Barbed Wire Explosions in the Kingdom of Atlantis by Richard Youngs.
Cool, sweet. I didn't know you bought
which is a very good record by someone who's also quite an extraordinary guy. I don't know if you know much about Richard Youngs. Sort of everything he does is instantly recognisable as him. His voice is kind of unmistakable, really. But what labels seem to challenge him to do is they give him a genre sometimes, and ask him to sort of do the best he can with it. I think it's oh god, who is it? I think it's Fourth Dimension. It's a Polish label that do sort of ask him to do that. I don't think this is on Fourth Dimension, but it's on Sonic Oyster. But this is basically his version of Extreme Noise Terror.
I was trying to work out what sort of music it was going to be, looking at the sleeve.
It's basically the same drum beat for 14 minutes over 2 sides, and it's like a sort of Discharge, Extreme Noise Terror type thing. Okay. But he's singing like a, with his beautiful sort of prog, sort of sweet tone that he's got.
Yeah.
And sort of folky prog sort of voice he's got, I guess, if you were to give it a genre, which, if you were Chris Sumlin, you'd spew up at the mention of genre and throw your rattle on the floor. But that's kind of what it is, I guess. It's decent. It's not the best thing that he's ever done.
Yeah, right.
But I wouldn't listen to him more than a couple.
Enormously prolific, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. He is. I think
he's very good. A few CDs by him, but I haven't got that.
So there's that. But also growing up was a shop called David's in Letchworth.
Yeah.
Who did a lot of secondhand stuff. And when I first sort of went up there, it blew my mind, all the secondhand stuff. And I only bought CDs because being 15, 16, that's all I wanted, really, CDs. Yeah. Didn't really ever buy a player. I didn't really start buying vinyl until I was about, 26.
Right.
So I didn't grow up with vinyl. But Shudder Think's Pony Express record is still, to my mind, like my favourite guitar record.
Right.
And this kind of also answers a question later on a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think one of your questions later on sort of relates to would you be surprised that you've got in your record collection?
Right.
And I think to flip that round, I think most people would be surprised that I don't have much guitar music in my collection. I certainly don't have any heavy guitar music. So that's kind of the only example of guitar music, I would say. But
that Shudder to Think record, are they still on Discord then, or have they moved to
that is Big Cat in the UK, which was snaffled up by V2, but it was on Epic in the US, Sony Epic. It was 93, 94, so I guess Sony were like, just snaffle up as many sort of alt bands as you can that have an image, make them 3 or 4 music videos with a 50 grand budget and see what happens, sort of deal.
Yeah.
And they're a bizarre band, really, and I sort of love them for that. They sort of cracked my head open when I was 15.
Yeah. Did you ever see them?
No, never. I think they very rarely got over to the UK anyway, and I wasn't really going to like London shows at that point.
Yeah.
Love to have seen them, but it's got it for like £2 or £3 and blew my mind open, and sort of rest is history, I suppose. Sort of big record, but that's just David's, great shop.
Yeah, it's still open, isn't it? Is it, David?
I think so. I haven't been to Letchworth for many years. Nothing takes me to Letchworth really, but
No, but I feel like for some reason I think it's still open. But I saw Shudder to Think once that they were supporting. It was supported that big Fugazi gig at Brixton Academy, and Shudder supported with Leatherface and Jesus.
nice.
And I think that they confused a lot of people.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, sort of quite. I mean, the story with them, I guess, is, you know, the guitarist Nathan Larson was a teenager, and he invited the band over to play his party when he was a teenager. And I think the band were going through a bit of a flux. They didn't have a second guitarist, because Quaid Rudgerin out front was the chief songwriter and played guitar. But Nathan Larson was like, I'd love to play guitar for you. And he came in and just totally turned the sound on its head with his guitar playing, because it's so strange.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost slabs of sort of metal being. I don't know how to explain it, because I'm not a guitarist, but you know, the chords are all sort of half jazz, and then there's like thundering riffs, and it's all over the place. You know, so good record.
Yeah, they're an example of a band on Discord that would arguably not really fit with Discord, and they obviously got with it from that area of the world. They're obviously from DC or surrounding areas. I almost
didn't want to sort of bring it up, because I didn't want to get into discussion too much about Discord, because I think it's controversially in your house. I think it's probably the most overrated label that I can think of.
Yeah, well,
I don't like anything on it.
No, well, I think that I think that them, Shudder to Think, and the band Smart Went Crazy both didn't.
I know you like them.
Yeah, they both didn't really fit on that label, and I wonder how like their world would have been, or their lives musically would have been, if they would have gone to, I don't know, Matador or something, or you know, some alternate other indie label in America, whether they may have found a different and even bigger audience. I don't know.
We'll never know.
No, but it's of interest to me.
Yeah, and it will haunt us. It will haunt us, you know, more than the band members themselves, I should imagine.
I probably will. I don't think they care. Of course they don't. Yeah, this next one has been Record with Memories is what I'm asking for here, but it's one that I probably regret asking from now on, because every record has memories. But anyhow.
Okay. I'm flicking through here. Let's have a look. I would say, let me think. I would say Cabaret Voltaire's Microphonies is like a really sort of quite a charged record that I've got.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm picking it up and I'm not emitting a charge facially, but believe me, internally, it's I'm fizzing.
Your feet are clicking on the floor though, right? We just
yeah. That's why I've taken my shoes off, because it's, you know, it's quite a sort of rotten floor, so got to be careful. But that when I first moved to London, I first moved to North London, late 90s, early 2000s, and that was in Wood Green. So Wood Green High Street, charity shops at the time were fantastic. Loads of bargains if you didn't have any money, which I didn't. And this was before charity shops charged, you know, £40 for a battered Bert Jansch LP. So I got this for like, you know, £3 at Cancer Research or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about Cabaret Voltaire. I was just starting to get into throbbing gristle and industrial music. My late teens, maybe 18, 19. And so I bought, just from the cover, I was like, I'm in, basically. I loved the cover, and I didn't care what it sounded like.
Yeah, it's sort of Threadsy or something.
It's just yeah, I like the colours. Just everything about it just shouted weird, and I wanted weird as much as I could. I think Shudder to Think was like the first thing where I was like, oh, I'm interested in weird. Like, what have you got, basically? And then, you know, industrial music, sort of, everything's weird, you know, if you sort of take all the signifiers of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, it's a good record. It's not the best Cabaret Voltaire stuff. You know, this is like 84, I think, and they've been going 10 years by that point.
Right.
and Chris Watson had left by this point. I don't know if you know much about Cabaret Voltaire in
I don't know a
general.
great deal. Chris Watson's a familiar name, though. Is he the guy that records, like... Go, tell me. Yeah.
Well, he worked with David Attenborough. He's sort of pioneered a lot of technology for wildlife programs for BBC, like, since the 80s, I think. But he left the band after 10 years, and he used to record most of the stuff up in his attic in the early days.
Right.
So I think the best stuff I know of Cabaret Voltaire is there was a retrospective thing put out by Mute, which was 73, 74, and it was recordings from Chris Watson's attic, and that stuff's like amazing.
Right.
This stuff is kind of and fair enough. That's sort of crack at being a bit more commercial.
Yeah.
A lot of samplers, a lot of the sort of new technology at that point. And it's good, and I never begrudge sort of any band sort of trying to do a commercial thing, although it's still bloody weird, but then bloody weird sold okay in the 80s. There was a bit of a license, you got money behind it. This is like, Virgin came in, as they did with a lot of bands, and tried to snaffle them up before anyone else might have made a packet out of them, but I don't think anyone made much out of Cabaret Voltaire. So.
No, but you're right, though. We discussed this the other night with Tim and Rue, and weirder stuff seemed to get through more than, like, they were saying, what Tim was saying, Queen, but I was thinking, like, just even like Talking Heads or something that was slightly odd. But now, if you watch them, it hasn't smoothed over. It can still be awkward to listen to. So yeah, I sort of, one of the ones that I had down here was purely because you sort of mentioned them, was this record here.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people know this record, but even when you listen to it now, like this band in particular, I still find like bafflingly tough and brilliant to listen to.
Yeah, I mean they are amazing.
Yeah, it just hasn't smoothed over. It's sold well, and it hasn't smoothed over time, like a lot of music might have over time.
Hamburger Lady from, I don't know if it's that. I think it's from that record, but
yeah, it's all the DNA one, yeah.
But Hamburger Lady still makes me as queasy now as it did sort of when I was in my late teens. Still, it's like horrible queasy song. Yeah, and you find out a bit more about how these things are made and stuff, and it's really interesting. But it's one of the rare sort of occasions where the more you learn about how something is made, I still don't. It still sort of doesn't demystify it. It doesn't. You can strip back the layers of how it's done, but I'm still like, that's still a queasy song.
Yeah. Well, I think everything about this band, like even down to Cozy's book have you read Cozy's book? Yeah, even down to like her story with.
It's full of wrongness, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't. It almost helps the band, but it makes you equally feel uncomfortable. Almost like, I don't know. Yeah, the myth is still there, and that's basically bargain find. Hit me with a bargain find.
Alfred Schnicker, Russian composer. Got this from Rough Trade for about £3 in early 2000s, down underneath a skate shop when it was there.
Yeah.
It's in a really nice sort of cheap paper Russian sleeve.
Oh yeah.
Which I think most records, not enough records are made really cheap and look like shit. Personally, I want more records with like shit paper sleeves. And I want the vinyl to be like no more than like 120 grams tops, if possible. Real No 180s are.
Can you see through it?
No, I haven't played it that much. But it is good. It's dark as hell, and it's sort of it's choir music, so it's just voice really, but it's very, very good. You've got thrilling, upbeat titles for a COVID world, such as Collected Songs Where Every Verse is Full of Grief. That's song 2.
Yeah, classic.
For those who'll deeply go into the meaning of the mournful words, for those who'll perceive the essence of creation.
Yeah, I saw him do that on Top of the Pops, that one.
Yeah. Well, it's where I get Alfred Schnicker, ladies and gentlemen.
And
Alfred Schnicker.
you're pronouncing, you know how to pronounce that, because...
I'm fluent in Russian.
Yeah.
Нет. Послалучи. Ебаться, сука. What was the next one?
Record bought on tour.
I would say, I can't remember the name of the festival. I think it's called Handmade, the French festival we went to. Can't remember what it's called. Where they had like a outdoorsy bit with a guy selling records. Can't remember. Loads of couches with fleas on, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it was like a reconditioned furniture yard, and then they turned it into a weekend festival.
Yeah, Tamaga played, didn't they?
That's right. Yeah, that was the last time we saw Tom, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got these, and these are rare as hen's teeth. And when I saw them, I almost sort of jumped out of my skin because I never thought I'd actually touch them or find them. But they're, do you know the Mississippi tape series?
There was a guy selling all that label, wasn't there?
Yeah, and when I saw it, I couldn't believe that I'd sort of seen them outside of the US, because they only make 5 copies of each. You know, it's a little shop in Portland, and they do Mississippi Records from there, which is a great record label. But the tape series they're up to about 160 tapes.
Right.
And the owner just makes them, he makes 5 of each. And you sort of don't need any other records if you've got one. They're just the best of the best from the last sort of 100 years of recorded music, basically.
So what sort of things on there then?
Well, you've got, okay, so this one has got on it, you know, stuff like Fats Domino, Solomon Burke, and then, you know, people I've never heard of, like Willie West and Jimmy Guilford, and it's basically the guy's record collection is sort of huge and far-ranging, and Everly Brothers, you know, sort of all sorts. There's a James Brown track on there from '67 that just sounds like a noise record, like a contemporary noise record. It's so badly recorded, like a live recording.
Yeah.
And along with his high-pitched squeal, there's a moment where the mono recording stretches out for about 10 seconds, and it just sounds like a Merzbow record. It's just insane. Yeah, amazing. You can get them all online. They're all on YouTube, or you can just download them or whatever. But to actually sort of find the cassettes was quite thrilling.
That's a nice pickup.
They're excellent.
Yeah.
Check them out.
I was reminded of we, like I've said to the others, that we're always like stopping at record shops or going out of our way. But remember when we went to Ghent, and we'd driven for hours to get there, but we got there early enough to hit up a shop that was selling. It was an enormous shop that had like a lot of cheap records in it, and we all spent a lot of time in there. And then we went to play a gig, and it was one of the worst gigs we've ever played. But I think we were just tired. But I picked up this there.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of records by that guy.
Yeah, I've still got the label on it there.
Proud of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I keep label. I keep.
Yeah. You should do.
But yeah, it's like being on tour and picking up crazy records is. I don't even think it's that crazy.
It's a bonus.
Yeah. I wouldn't have. You're not going to pick it up staying at home. Yeah, so it's good. And yeah, so record that people wouldn't think that you like, which you've probably half mentioned.
But that's one you're going to have to be the judge of that, because you probably know what I like more than most people. So I don't know. I'll try out a few things, and then you can.
Yeah.
So I like dub and reggae quite a lot. And electronic music. I like Joni Mitchell.
Go on. What you got? Go on.
Hissing of Summer Lawns. Very good.
Right. Okay. Don't know that album. I don't know the album.
Big Joni Mitchell fan, but that's excellent. There's a song on there. 80% of it is premium quality folk.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of songs on there with sampler and some other bits that you wouldn't expect, and that's very good.
What year is that? What year did that one come out then?
Good question. 1975.
It's a nice looking sleeve.
1975.
Yeah, I like the look of the sleeve on that. It looks really nice.
That's very good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Would you expect me to have some old 7 inches that I cut in half and then glued back together the wrong way round? Or
Well, potentially, yes. I probably
if
would.
you're asking, you probably would expect that. I've got a few of these. This one is Judas Priest mixed with Vibes Cartel.
What?
Good one.
Delivering the Goods. Is that the name of the song on the? Is that the Judas Priest song?
Yes. Yeah. That's a good one, and that's got sort of little lock grooves in it and what have you.
How does that happen? What happens when you play one of them then? It clicks, and does it ever make it round a loop?
Well, it loops. Sometimes it loops, sometimes it doesn't. That's the thread. The main thing is all of it sounds like terrible. That's Trans Global Underground mixed with La Bamba. That's a good one.
So, okay, I'm an enormous fan of this, but why have you done this? I mean, why not?
Well, I had time,
right?
And I just thought, well, I was sort of experimenting a lot with cassettes and warping cassettes and that kind of stuff, and electronics, and just trying to find your way through things. I think when you're in your early 20s and you're just trying to find out what fits.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's a
experimenting.
No. So, in relation to that, is it on one of the Colossus albums? Cuckoo?
Mm.
Is that the one where you brought the record player in and the record, and you did that thing with the?
Yes, at the end, yeah.
So what did you do there?
I can't remember, to be honest. I'm not sure. I think
something though, wasn't it? There's a crazy loop on one of the songs, and you had the record player.
Yeah, no, I just had that on my sampler, I think.
I saw the record player was there, and you had it like the needle was chipping off and going and doing something.
Oh, I might have blue tacked some 2Ps to the vinyl player so that sort of if you're gonna put a blue tack a 2P on a vinyl, when it gets to the sort of 5 seconds of before it leads in, and then it's gonna hit the penny and come back a couple of seconds and loop up. So I think it was that.
Well, I remember thinking I hadn't seen it before, and I still think it sounds good.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that for a while. I might go back to that at some point.
I think it was Cuckoo, because I remember.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah, because I remember that Leon being there and having tables of synths.
Mm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I was living in John Richards' old house, or his house now, should I say? And there's steps going up to the pavement, and I remember picking up my Casio keyboard, which was CZ 3000, which is about the length of me,
right,
and trying to get it up the steps, the concrete steps, and just falling face first on the steps and breaking half the keys on it. And I was incensed.
Yeah.
That was a bad moment. Really bad moment.
And do you still have that keyboard, or did it just get thrown away?
It's in the attic.
Classic. For another day.
Yeah. No, it's not for another day. It's completely fucked.
Yeah, give us a favourite 10-inch then.
I've only got one.
You've only got one 10-inch record?
Yeah.
What do you think of 10-inch records?
Appalling.
Yeah, as I've said numerous times now, they are a maligned format.
Apart from this one, which I treasure and I love it,
what is it?
By a band called Collapse. It's my friend Steve Keane, that you met him a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his old band. Very good.
Nice sleeve.
Hang on. No, it doesn't quite fit. Never mind. But yeah, that sort of that's what 2006. So a vintage year for alternative rock.
Classic, yeah. And that's the only 10-inch record you have.
It's the only one. I wouldn't buy them. I don't know. I lose them in the collection. I can't find them. So what's the point?
No. Yeah.
Well, I want to be able to find it if I've got it. So.
Yeah, I only brought this one up because I'm yet to find anyone say that's a brilliant format, because
It's a tough sell.
uh,
It's a tough sell.
and
I'm not a fan.
for labels, I think it costs the same to make them as it does for a 12-inch vinyl. Like,
yeah, exactly. So why would you do it? Why would you take the risk?
yeah.
It's already choppy enough as it is out there. So
You got any more records to show?
Got another cheap Russian paper sleeve. This would also have come down under the what would you not expect to have, and that's Procol Harum second record.
Russian.
But it's Russian, so the original album is like a photograph, and that's a really bad painted version bootleg.
Pretty cool though.
But you know, I like that kind of thing. So yeah, nice paper sleeve, cheap as chips. I don't go in for all this like hardboard sleeve sort of thing with.
Who would do that?
Who would? Cheap as you want. I mean, I've got. If I sort of look, you prompted me to go through my record collection, and the thing I sort of realised is that everything is sort of battered and has been well played, and that's sort of what you want. I don't want to keep things in pristine condition. I want to look at a record and sort of see, the stickiness of the alcohol that fell on the sleeve or whatever, and the scratch on it and what have you. So, like a lot of my dub records are, really poor quality. You sort of check a few of them, and the sleeves are, if you look on the inside, they've been reprinted from another sleeve sort of thing, and the record's just full of pits and bobbles because they've been badly stored and what have you. I mean, look at the state of that sticker. It's, it's not great, is it? But that's a great record, by the way. Conquering Lion, Yabby You.
Right.
Don't know it. That's fantastic. I used to DJ a little bit down the road from me at a sort of old disused police station every weekend, and I've got most of my records are from that basically. So I think that's why I don't have any guitar records, because who the fuck wants to go to a dance up with guitars? So it's all sort of dance and dub really.
Right.
Scritti Politti, I think, is amazing. That's excellent. That's another example of someone who started off sort of quite rough and raw and post-punk, for want of a better word, which is like the worst genre. Anything can be post-punk these days, but at that time, proper sort of post-punk, and someone who just went, you know what, I want to make pop records, just fuck off. And he just gave an ultimatum to the band, which was like, I don't want to do this anymore. You either come with me or you go away, and they all fucked off. So and I respect that. It's just like, I just want to make pop records. That's who I am. That's what I want to do. I don't want to sort of play the same 20 people shows every day, on tour. What's the point when I can make amazing songs like Absolute, which is Virgin as well. Everything I've got that's kind of like that seems to be Virgin at some point, so yeah, Cerrone, Supernature, always gets them going.
Oh yeah. I know the name. I've got I don't know.
Check that out. The King, Dr. Alimentado, who reminds me of Greenwich Exchange, like so much. I used to go shopping in Greenwich Exchange a lot. Like the cut up 7 inches were in the basement where everyone was 50p.
Yeah.
So it didn't cost an arm and a leg to get a bunch of them and cut them up. But the doctor used to come in and hand the records over himself. So everyone has been touched by the doctor himself, which means a lot. And I think that's about it really. I would say that's. I've got a few more, but I'll just show them because I bought them out.
Yeah.
Congos.
Great record.
Carlos Gesualdo's Madrigal series.
Don't know that.
Well, the song Blood Red Madrigal is sort of written about him.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mark Almond, very underrated man. I think, even though he's well regarded, I still think he's sort of this sort of Mark and Marimba's sort of era is very doesn't get talked about enough personally. But
right.
Handsworth Explosion, Birmingham reggae, 80s, very good.
Steel Pulse on there.
Late 70s, I say.
Steel Pulse on there.
I don't think so. No.
Oh.
No, Steel Pulse. Sorry. I'm literally only showing you these because I've got them out of my collection just in case, because I didn't know what I was going to pick up. I'm doing everything off the hoof, basically.
Yeah.
This could have been a bargain. That if you asked me what it was, that was As Coltrane record that we got when we went to play Rough Trade in store, and we got a discount because we'd, blown the roof off, absolutely blown the roof off the place. So they were like, do you know what? We don't do this normally for bands, but have 20% off. You were extraordinary. We haven't seen anything like it. We won't sign you though, but have a discount. So I got, this would normally be 30 quid and I'd never spend more than 20 quid on a record. That's a no-no. So that brought that down, and that was a record that I sort of, in the year when my dad passed away, I sort of listened to this record almost constantly when I was traveling from A to B. And I couldn't listen to much else. And I think we were making a record as well. And I can't listen to much when we're making a record anyway.
Yeah.
And as we're always making a record, I sort of don't end up listening to a lot of music other than what we're doing. I think that's why I don't have much guitar music, because I'm already listening to a lot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I work out what to do in the demos and everything. So that was good to actually have a copy of that.
It's a great record.
It was a bit of a sort of it sort of provided me with a bit of closure, I think, finally owning the record that I'd listened to a lot over the year before it. So that meant a lot to get that.
That's, and it's also that almost ticks half of the thing. That's like record with memories, bargain find, like it's, which all records are, I think. I know.
Yeah, well, that should be the challenge for this series. Have you got a record that meets all the criteria? So it always have to be a 10-inch that you've got memories of. He's not going to do it. No one's going to pass that. Morricone is. Yeah. I've probably got more records by him in my collection than anyone else. Like if I find one, I'll snap it up. I really wanted to show you the Exorcist 2 soundtrack by Ennio Morricone, but I couldn't find it, and I've definitely got it somewhere. But Four Velvet Flies, Argento film, very good.
Yeah, nice looking sleeve.
Yeah. And that's it. I've run out.
Yeah. Well, like guitar bands, you say like you weren't. This guitar band here is one that you put me onto. Like you told me about this band and made me check their records out.
Oh yeah.
Thing of stuff.
I don't like the drag. I don't like the one in front very much.
That one there, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just show that one then.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, but the song you actually sent me that time was isn't on either of these records.
No, quite right.
Yeah, it was.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I think it was a 7 Walking About, right?
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
But I like when bands have a big song and it's not on any of the records. Like I was looking at, I'd never have any reason to look at the history of Procol Harum because I couldn't give a fuck. I only care about that one record because I like the sleeve and I do like how it sounds, but it's got a lot of memories. But looking at Procol Harum, like Whiter Shade of Pale came out, and then that was massive around the world. Yeah. And then they put out their debut album, and it didn't have it on it.
Not on it. All right.
And that takes balls. That takes a lot of balls to have a hit and then not put it on your first record.
Yeah.
But then the US version subsequently, the label like bolted it on track 1, side A, and they couldn't get out of that. I think so. But yeah, I like that. That's a ballsy move anyway.
It often happens the other way around, where they'll release an album and then 6 months later they'll release a big single, and then the album has to be re-released or whatever with "Sit Down" by James on or whatever. That like I think that's just the one that pops into my head. That there was a James album that came out, and then they released a single 6 months later, and then they had to re-release the whole album because that was the big song.
So you had to buy it twice.
Well, I've got it twice now. But I just remember at the time when it happened thinking that's a really weird thing to be doing. I didn't. Yeah. It's like, yeah. And another band I thought you might have mentioned was the Camberwell Now band.
Yeah, I don't own any records by them, so
Right, but you like them, right?
I don't own any This Heat records or Camberwell
Right.
now, but that's very good. But
Yeah. You know, it's,
if I'd seen it anywhere, then I would buy it. But I
yeah.
think everything that I've got, I see it in front of me. I don't sort of go looking for them. So,
All right, yeah.
I,
These are all reissues. I haven't got originals of them. So
but yeah, I never hunt anything down. Like I kind of like the serendipity of you know finding myself somewhere and going, oh, there's some records. I'll look through them. Oh fuck, you know
yeah,
that I don't know. It means more than
yeah,
sort of sitting in front of my computer and scrolling through Boomcat or Norman and going, oh, all right, you
yeah.
know,
And I know
that
it's
doesn't get me going.
the more old school way. It's why sometimes I will take a risk on a record still,
Yeah,
despite it being currently foolhardy when you can totally check something out before buying it. It's quite nice to go, this looks good, I'm buying it.
yeah.
It's just, I think it's an old school way of doing it, pre-Discogs.
We've all got our different ways of enjoying ourselves, haven't we? Eh?
And haven't we had a lot of fun today?
I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
So,
I don't talk to anyone, so this is good.
no, nor do I. Well, I kind of just want to I just like talking about records, see.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's do it again. I'll put on a disguise in a couple of weeks.
I did have a couple more down there, but I'll show one more just
Go on,
because I think it's something you dig. So it's something I really like, and it's the Drexciya record.
yeah, I've got. Yeah,
However,
I almost pulled out my collection of the.
yeah,
There's like 4 or 5 of them, the Drexciya records on Clone.
yeah.
Um,
What the underwater series? What's it called? Got a series.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
No,
It doesn't matter.
no.
But yeah, he's kind of he would have been indicative of what I like, which is you could probably like anything I've mentioned. I think other than the Mississippi compilations, they've all got a sort of similar thing, which is I like sort of musicians or artists that create their own world.
Yeah, well, they certainly did. Yeah.
And Drexciya is like underwater.
Yeah.
Underwater thing going on and what have you, and I just think that's what the whole thing should be about. Like you pay your money, you pay like £10 or whatever, and that gives you the keys to this world that someone's created. You can go there wherever you want, and that's the whole point, sort of thing. So that's what I look for, really. Sort of has someone made their own world? Can I come in, sort of thing?
Yeah. So who else? Give us another example of someone who does that.
Oh God. Off the top of my head, I mean, Sun Ra's the big one, isn't it? I suppose I can't think of anyone else that's done it so thoroughly and can't be challenged on it and shouldn't be challenged on it.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, what? Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can only think of old artists from the '60s. I'm trying to think of something contemporary now that is like that. I almost don't think people sort of have the room, the time, or the money to do that so often, or it's not as visible.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's so much competition that it can't happen anymore. I don't know. There are loads, and if you'd given me time to prepare, then I could have given you loads. But I'm exhausted. I've just been talking for half an hour, so it's.
No,
I don't.
I sort of do agree, though. You can, when you do find someone, you can dive into them and.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Someone new or just in general?
Well, I think new would be interesting, but in general, like someone you think like, I think David Bowie, maybe. I'm not,
Well, yeah, I love David Bowie to bits. I could talk to you for a whole special on David Bowie. I love it, but
right.
I can't I can't sort of say that like Fontaine's DC have built a world around them that I want to climb into or anything like that. No disrespect, but I can't think of anything really that is doing that now.
I think, like I tell you, like it's not, and I know it's not a band that no, this is going to sound stupid. It's not a band I like or anything like that. But do you think a band like Oasis, as big as they are, did that? Like they had,
Not on purpose.
it was a laddie world, but it was something that people could just totally buy into this sort of.
Yeah, but not on purpose. That's the game changer. I want someone to do it on purpose, really.
Right. Okay.
I don't want someone or a band to write some tunes and then a couple of months down the line they go, oh whoops, there's a bunch of guys in white trainers running around us. Let's call it this amazing concept that we've got. That doesn't sort of count, I don't think.
Right. So you want them to wear the mask, like MF Doom.
So, yeah. Well, I don't want to use the term. It's a bit cringeworthy, but I want that world to be beautiful,
right?
In its own way. And I don't think there's anything beautiful about the world that spawned around Britpop at all. It's horrific, really. Yeah. I can't think of anything that was good about it.
No, I'm not. Yeah, just with that band in particular, they had their thing, or yeah. But like I said, with a mask, would you think someone like MF Doom?
Yeah, I mean, I like MF Doom a lot, but
yeah.
That is the sort of thing. I'm not really. That's not so much for me because I'm not into comic books at all, and that's a very comic booky, superhero-y.
Yeah, the metal mask.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I understand the sort of apparatus of why that is how it is, and what have you. And yeah, I mean, I like what some of the things by him specifically, but I don't. That's not something that I can climb into because I'm not interested in.
Right. Okay.
Enough of it to collect his records or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the sort of thing.
Yeah. Trying to think of.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Miles Davis. I'm looking here.
No, I wouldn't. That doesn't count. I don't think that's not. We're talking about something slightly different, a bit more. I don't know, something sort of slippery, not really tangible, but you can just sort of feel it. I don't think Miles Davis is quite that sort of thing.
What about Scott Walker then? Especially his solo stuff. Last sort of.
Yeah. He's got his own language. I think that's the main thing. He's got his own. Yeah. I would say so. I'm a big Scott Walker fan. Yeah. I'm sort of obsessed with his lyrics. I think are sort of extraordinary as sort of poetry on their own, and they're really thorough. If you read them, you really have to sort of find all the touchstones and reference points and put them together in a way that is satisfying to you. It's like a puzzle that you can unlock, which is a world to climb into. So yeah,
which I haven't managed to do yet with Scott Walker. I have a couple of records, and I find it quite a tough listen.
It's. I don't know. He came along for me at a point where I was really trying to go quite thorough with the words that I was putting together, and I wanted to sort of see other people that had put things together so thoroughly and tricksy and he's sort of said quite a lot that the way he would write vocal lines is to get the noises and the accentuations first and then try and fit the words in afterwards. So it's like he sort of said if I could just sing wordless sort of sounds or whatever, I would do that.
Be an actual vocal,
but I have to get words together because, and I enjoy words, so I make it work, whatever. But that's something that I've learned for myself a little bit, is to try and get the intonation of certain sounds in bars and then work out the words later. So sometimes the words are a bit inconsequential, but they fit how you want it all to sound. I don't know if that's making sense, but
I know how you work, and I actually find it really, really interesting. Like, I to go from, because what happens is for anyone who isn't us, is that we'll have the music kind of done, sort of, and there'll be a rough vocal line over it from perhaps when the first rehearsal or the first recording happens, and then over especially on the last album, like a 6-month period, the vocals change, and each time you hear it, it's slightly different, and it's different, and it's different, and I find it absolutely fascinating. And yeah, and especially on the last record, I think it's maybe just we had a bit more time with it, but it came together better than anyone could possibly expected. And I think the way you work was quite yeah, well, it was part of it. It was a big part of it. Like,
yeah, I think the way everyone worked was it was sort of quite an extraordinary sort of thing that happened with it.
yeah.
But yeah, who knows what happened next?
Yeah, no, but really, I'm just talking about your vocals, and I can see how you end up working in the way you do. If you talk about someone like Scott Walker like that, I can definitely see that you've taken bits of what that is, and probably other, but maybe even the Shudder to Think guy. Like, you know.
Well, I was going to say I was listening to that band again for the first time in ages this morning, and I was walking through the park, and I really sort of arrowed in on how he's singing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it on the records before it, and that might be Nathan Larson's guitar work. I don't know, but he's really singing almost in guitar solos,
right?
Like quite weird, extraordinary guitar solos. But he's got the register to go high with it, so he can follow it. But the way he writes his vocal lines for that album specifically, which was the first time they did that, was quite sort of melodically and sort of going off at tangents.
Yeah.
And the sort of pronunciation of things, like, you know, he'd sort of sing a line and then at the end go "y'all," and it doesn't fit because he's got quite a camp persona.
Yeah.
So when he says "y'all" at the end of a line, it's almost like mocking, but it's like a real precise sort of jigsaw that he's put together with his vocals. And I think that's what really got me going when I was 16. Still gets me going now. It's really interesting.
Yeah, right. Do you know what he's up to now?
Soundtracks.
Right.
I think I had to do something with Nathan Larson, or I had to send him something for some reason a little while ago, and I didn't realise that they sort of all do like soundtracky work now, and I think, to be honest, you get to a certain age and you're like, you know what, I've worked really hard on music. What am I going to do? I can't keep being in a band. So how am I going to make dough? And they've done really well with soundtracks, I think. So and they did Velvet Goldmine soundtrack, and then it kicked off from there, I think. But more power to them. You know, that's good. If you exist for a while and you do one solid, excellent album, I think you can pat yourself on the back. Really, I think which is why I will continue to make duffers now, knowing full well that we've done all right with this one. So, and I'm happy to go back there. You know,
back to the duffer.
Yeah, I'm going to pull out my hacksaw 7 inches and stop singing, and I think I'll be happy with that. It's too much like hard work writing words. It's not fun. I don't find it fun. Certainly, it's like pulling teeth. It's awful. It's really great. I respect everyone too much in the band not to put the effort in.
Right. Oh, that's good.
That's what it is. I don't enjoy it.
That's very good of me.
I don't want to ruin your lives.
Well, it's good to speak.
Yeah, very good. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, and you. So hopefully we'll get together at some point.
Can we end on James?
We can go back to James. I can't remember what James' album's called. I haven't actually got it. I just know that that's what happened to it.
I just wanted to end on James.
Yeah, okay. Sit down.
Okay.
Wave goodbye. Say goodbye. Bye-bye.